Hey everyone, it's Obi Shinobi. I'm here to have a little bit of story time with you and tell a couple stories from my childhood.
Feeling okay?
Now let's get right into it. When I was young, I was a pretty calm kid, but also very curious and always looked for fun in things. Now, when I was about, I'd say, 3 or 4, my family took a trip to Disney. And I love Disney. I love The Lion King. That was one of my favorite movies growing up. And I guess my dad and grandfather, they took a bathroom break right outside of this attraction called the Tiki Room. And while my mother and grandmother were waiting for them, they thought, they could just let me walk around a bit. I wasn't the type to stray too far from my family. And they could easily keep an eye on me and make sure I was around and safe. But I guess I strayed a bit too far that day, and a man walked up to me. Now, he started whispering to me and crouching down to my level and took me by the hand, started taking me away. And by the time my mom noticed, she started screaming for my dad's name. Ron, 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 the kid. Someone's taking the kid. Now, my dad really couldn't hear this very well because he was inside of the bathrooms. But my mother ran towards me, picked me up, and said, "Hey, this man tried to take my kid." And lo and behold, the park employees were right there. They alerted others and they all gathered around, followed the man, and, apprehended him. Well, when they stopped this man, they asked him to open his closed fist, because in his left hand, he had something in there. And when he did, they found a white, powdery substance. Now, this could have easily been, a case of me getting human trafficked. And I could have easily been another statistic and not even be around to tell this story. So I'm pretty grateful that I have a watchful family and really cares about me and my safety. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't be alive right now. Now, around that time, probably like a year after, probably, I had a front door neighbor. Now, she would wait for her school bus every morning. And every morning, I would get up with my mom and visit my grandmother downstairs. They live in a duplex at the time, and my parents and me lived upstairs, and my grandparents downstairs. So my mom would wake up pretty early. She's an early riser, and I would wave hello to the girl waiting for her bus. I was just, friendly kid, taught to be kind and sweet, courteous to everyone. And every day I would do this. I would say hello, try to have a conversation from across the street. And it wasn't much. She would ask how old I was, you know, what I like. And one day I told her, hey, I really love to color. Coloring is like my passion. I loved coloring. I had all types of coloring books. Star Wars, Um, I had a lot of Lion King Disney coloring books. So one day I do the same thing and I waved her and she says, hey, come here. And my mom is there, so this seems pretty okay. It's not like the previous situation I told you guys about. And I asked her, can I go? And she said, no, ask her to come over here because I don't want you crossing the street. I said, okay, and I called her over, but I was pretty shy. I hadn't really interacted with kids any older than me yet, you know, and I was very shy, and especially because she was a girl. And she crosses the street and says, here, I got this for you. She had like a little gift bag. And I said, thank you. I had no idea what was in the gift bag yet, but I look in after thanking her and I see like 3 coloring books, Crayolas, the crayons, the markers, and the colored pencils. And I was like, wow, this is my dream. I just had Christmas morning right now. Like, it's probably the middle of June, but I had a Christmas morning that day. And when I go to look up, the girl's gone. She's not even waiting for her bus anymore. She's completely gone, disappeared. And I was like, what? Was this real? Am I dreaming? And look at my mom and I said, what happened? And she said she got in the bus. I guess I was looking down at the coloring books and stuff for so long that she had already got in her bus. And this story has kind of a sad end because I never saw her after that. Like, seriously, she probably moved. Family probably moved from there, and I was never able to see her again. Pretty sad. Now, I guess like I'd say about 3 years after that, I was a little older, and I would hang out with my friends that lived in the neighborhood. We liked to play outside. We often did. And there was a kid named Dennis who was the grandson of the family who lived just behind our house. Now, my grandmother had known these people from Cuba for a long time. And their grandson Dennis would come over and play with me. Now, I had only played with him once before, and I thought he was a little rude and, kind of a crass character. He didn't really talk about fun, wholesome things all the time. And, me being a curious kid, I really didn't think much of it. I was actually, kind of refreshed to hear such a different point of view. So, one day, he comes over and he says, hey, let's play on your balcony, Ronnie. And I'm like, okay. I didn't really think much of it. I always played on my balcony. Now, my balcony is on the 2nd floor. It's a pretty big, like, patio style. It's not the typical balcony. And he said, hey, look, don't you see the fish down there? My grandfather had a koi pond on the ground level. And he's like, look at the fish. Look closer. You want a closer look? And he kind of picked me up. And I had my whole torso over the railing. And I was holding on to the railing as hard as I could. Now, this kid kind of kept pushing me to go over the railing. And my mom, luckily, again, came to save the day. She ran towards me and said, Ronnie, come here. And rushed me in home. The kid let go of me, and I luckily, got down and walked back in home like my mom said. And I could have very much died at that moment as well. But thankfully I didn't. My mom was there to be watching over me. So a few days passed, and my cousin Gabby had come back from deployment in Kuwait. And he had a lot of stories to tell, and he had lost a lot of weight. I was excited to see him again. He's my godfather. We always got along very well. But he's talking to us and looking out our window, and he says, "Hey, look, there's some kid there at the corner of the house." He kind of raises the glass of the window and hears, "Ronnie, Ronnie." He's like, "Hey, do you know that kid, Ronnie?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's Dennis." And my mom's like, "He's not a good kid. I don't want Ronnie playing with him anymore." So my cousin, being the curious guy he is, he goes out the door, walks down the stairs, and says, "Hey, you know my cousin Ronnie?" He says, "Yeah, he's my best friend. I want to play with him. Can I play with him right now?" And he notices the kid is hiding something behind his back. And he goes, "Oh, no, Ronnie can't play right now. He's gonna eat dinner and then go to sleep soon." It was probably like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And my cousin says, "Hey, why don't you look over there across the street?" And the kid, Dennis, he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And when he turns around, my cousin sees that he's holding a sharp kitchen knife. Wasn't very big, but definitely sharp. And he remembers that when the kid was calling out to me, he was fidgeting with the fence post. It was a gray metal fence post on the corner of my house. So he says, "No, Ronnie can't play, so you can go home. It's okay. Don't worry. He can probably, play tomorrow or something." Just to get the kid to leave. So my cousin goes outside the gate perimeter to check on, what he was doing to the post, and surely enough, there was scratches from the knife on the fence post. So that was another time when I could have easily had something really bad happen to me. I've had a lot of close calls in my life, but those two were definitely like shockers. Uh, so let's fast forward to 5th grade. It's nearing graduation. I'm pretty excited going to middle school. Did pretty good. I had gifted classes for most of my years in elementary. And we're walking back into the class from physical education. And we pass down this hallway that has a side where there's like a huge puddle. And I see this kid, Brian, push my friend Richard straight into the puddle. Now, friend Richard is drenched. I'm like, "Yo, Richard, are you okay?" And I pick him up, get him out of the puddle. He's like, "Why'd you do that?" I'm like, "Do what?" "That was Brian." He goes, "No, I thought you pushed me into the puddle." I'm like, "No, that was definitely Brian. Why would I push you into the puddle? I'm your friend." And needless to say, I got sent to the office that day. Because Richard said, "I don't know who it was. It was either Ronnie or Brian, but I got pushed into the puddle." Now I'm in the office with this kid named Brian. He's a troublemaker. I wasn't. And he claimed up and down that I had pushed Richard into the puddle when I didn't. So I shoved Brian and got in trouble. Almost didn't go into graduation, but thankfully my parents came to school, talked to the principal, and I was able to walk in graduation. But I don't think I attended the pizza party afterwards or something. I just went straight home. And yeah, that was pretty crappy time in 5th grade. If you like this video, subscribe here. Sorry. Leave a like. Comment down below what other videos you'd like to see, what other stories you'd like me to tell, and what other games you'd like me to play. Thanks for watching.